Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is July 27th, 2023, and let's get to the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? So, very quick update today. So, I'm going to go very fast, and I want to apologize in advance for the microphone. I'm wearing a headset. I just don't want to wake up anyone, so I will wear this headset today. So, I apologize in advance for the quality of the sound. So, some very positive news right now in Zaporizhia. So the New York Times confirms that there's been an increase of Ukrainian forces committed to the battle, with hundreds of soldiers and tens or dozens of armored vehicles being involved in these offensives. Prior to that, the Ukrainians were usually attacking with maybe two, three Bradleys, maybe one tank, or maybe two BMPs with one tank and a few dozen soldiers, so about a company of soldiers. But now you can see that there's been an increase of activity. Far more soldiers have been committed to the offensive. And so this has been confirmed. So I think this is now phase two that has started, which we should start seeing far greater advancements from the Ukrainian side. It's still going to be difficult. The Russians still have very large defenses. In some areas, the Ukrainians haven't even went through the first line of defense that the Russians have built. But I think that I'm very optimistic due to the fact that the Ukrainians have now committed far greater soldiers. And that is also minus the F-16s that the Ukrainians were supposed to get. And, you know, as you guys know, the Ukrainians have been talking about getting jet fighters ever since the war started. And the West always, made excuses as to why they're not providing them. And I understand there's also logistics part behind it, training, making sure that there's the parts available. That takes a while. But I think that that should have been done ever since the war started. And only now we're talking about, well, Ukrainians are going to get the training, they're about to get the training, but also it takes time to implement that. So, by the time that these F-16s are going to be flying, it might be too late. So I digress from that point, but the Ukrainians are also advancing at a disadvantage here. So keep that in mind. So this is positive because now the Russians are saying that they could potentially lose Robotine very soon. So you can see that the Ukrainians are now flanking on the side of Robotine, of this village. And so perhaps in the next few weeks, in the middle of August, end of August, we should see the Ukrainians take Robotine and continue advancing towards the villages south. So that's very positive. The other update is in Velika Novosilka. So the Ukrainians right now are attacking Staromayorske, and the pro-Russian channels, the Telegram channels, are saying that they will probably lose Staromayorske very soon. Their defenses are not capable of defending due to the fact that the Ukrainians have committed so many soldiers and armored vehicles that they just can't defend. And as a result of losing Staromayorske, they will also lose Urozhaine. So this is great, and I'm looking forward to seeing these two villages being liberated by the Ukrainian forces very soon. However, and that is a concern, as a countermeasure, I've heard reports that the Russians are flying more Ka-52 helicopters to counter this offensive against the Ukrainian convoys, and I'm not gonna lie, they have been effective. I've seen plenty of Russian videos of these helicopters being able to hit Ukrainian convoys, unfortunately. So Ukrainians need to find a way of destroying them. I've seen some reports of these Ka-52 helicopters being shut down by the Ukrainians, but so far, these helicopters have been flying really far away from the front line, about 7 to 10 kilometers away. So they have been effective. And so Ukraine needs to find a way of getting rid of them so they can advance with more confidence. Now, another positive thing is that Kiev and the Deputy Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov has mentioned that they have 1,700 drones ready to go to the front line for this offensive and help the offensive. As you can see in this image, there's a lot of DJI Mavic Pros. I believe this is the RX-17, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. So this is one of the revolutionary drones that the Ukrainians created a few years ago that can fly at night and drop heavy payloads of whether it be grenades or mortar shells from above on Russian trenches or Russian vehicles either at night or during the day. It has a great camera and it's capable of disabling vehicles because of the payload capacity. And they also have been absolutely valuable against trench warfare, because now it's a trench warfare. The Russians have dug in, and so because they're dug in, it's harder to hit them with artillery. And so these drones are going to be extremely valuable at hitting them. And there's also obviously the first-person view drones, which are extremely agile and can actually even get into these small little bunkers that the Russians have set up whenever there's an artillery hitting them. So it's very positive. However, 1,700 drones is great, but Ukraine needs to be producing that at a very minimum at a monthly basis. And I think that it needs to be even higher. It needs to be tens of thousands of drones per month that need to be produced at a production level. And so Ukraine and the Ukraine government need to be producing and building factories that can produce that amount of drones, because 1,700 drones is great, but Ukraine needs far more than that to be able um, to to advance quickly and win this war quickly, in my opinion. And Ukraine has been revolutionary in terms of drone warfare. They've been one of the very first countries to implement this at a massive scale, these small little commercial drones. And so I think that Ukraine needs to invest far more to produce tens of thousands of them. So let me know what you think about that. And also the positive thing is that the United States is also going to give Ukraine some of these small Hornet surveillance drones in the latest 400 million aid package that Ukraine received a few days ago. So all that to say that drones are the future of warfare, and Ukraine, if it wants to win this war quickly, needs to produce tens of thousands of them. Now, the last thing is, unfortunately, there's still some countries making money off of this war, and the Maldives, unfortunately, is one of them. So, the Maldives is the second largest microcircuit supplier to Russia after China. The Maldives help Russia circumvent sanctions. The small island state has exported more than 400,000 semiconductors worth more than $53 million US to the terrorist country. And so the source of Nikkei Asia in one of the shipping companies said that semiconductor deliveries from the US to Russia are possible. You just need to indicate the Maldivian trading or forwarding company as the recipient to do this. Additionally, none of the 14 companies exporting semiconductors to Russia is based in the Maldives. So McKinney's Corp, which sent $40 million worth of chips to Russia, is based in London. So you can see that there's corporations, there's countries that are still involved and are still making blood money off of this war. And it's absolutely essential for Ukraine to win this war and to break down Russia's economy, to find these loopholes and cut them off as soon as possible. And this is also the West that needs to be involved in this and finding these loopholes and cutting them off, right? Because Russia is not only using these microchips, for its civilian usage, right, for whatever, producing washing machines or their own computer screens, I don't know, but also they're using them for the war effort, right, for their tanks, for helicopters, for missiles, right? These are all being used for this. So I really hope that the West finds these loopholes and cuts them off ASAP. So this is the video for today, guys. Let me know what you think about today's video. I really appreciate your support. I apologize for the sound quality, and I will see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe and like my video. Thank you.